Yeah, we're back on. So we can go and explain it now. We'll just post the two videos.
Just tell them what happened.
Hello, everybody. Our internet froze for some reason. So we stopped the demonstration, and we're going to pick the demonstration up here and post it. Not sure what happened with that, but that's what's going to go on. Di Sue, I saw your message come across. Have fun quilting. That's awesome. So yeah, we're going to go on and demo. I went to data instead of using my Wi-Fi because I don't know if Wi-Fi is down in the area or what the scoop is. So Twyla, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
So I forget where we were. So I was showing this. So it actually distributes half of your bulk of your seam on one side and half of the bulk of the seam on the other, so that when you press it, you get a much flatter block.
You get a mini pinwheel in the
You do, if you do it right, and that's the clue. Now, I don't know how well this is going to show. So once you have your block done, and this is big, but it was because it was so tiny to get my fingers in if I did the size. Hold it with the seam going this way. So this is your last seam where you joined the two. Hold it this way. And then you're going to take your fingernail, and on this side where this seam is, go find the top two pieces of fabric. Put your fingernail under there. Flip to this side. Find those same two pieces of fabric. Put your fingernail in there. Grab, and you twist that seam. So what it does is it actually unstitches your seam down to where this seam cuts it across. You don't have to pick if you just twist. And if you're in the right spot, you will get that little mini pinwheel look right there in the center.
Isn't that cool?
If you don't have that pinwheel look, you're not in the right spot.
Okay.
Now, I have never done this before. I don't know how this holds up in a quilt. But there are, again, a lot of well-known quilters who swear by this technique. They say it's no different than any other seam that you don't backstitch on, that your next seam cutting across is what's holding it. So that's what you get. And then when you go to iron that...
Iron the seams open?
No, you just flop one way.
Oh.
And you leave the other way. And you've distributed half of your bulk on one side and half of your bulk on the other.
Oh, I like that. I was thinking you were going to tell me to open my seams.
So you do not have open seams. You just have that little pinwheel. So again, this is the tricky part.
Do another.
So take it with your seam going across, fold it in half. On the side with the seam towards you, take your fingernail.
On the first two.
The first two layers. On the seam on the other side, stick your fingernail between the first two, but right behind the first two layers. Twist, and you've got that little pinwheel there, right? So that's all you're going to do, and then you're going to press that again, and you've got your pinwheel. But if you go in the wrong spot...
You're going to show them how to do it wrong?
Trust me, I did about 20 of these suckers last night before I figured out where the right place was.
That's encouraging.
Now I can't seem to get in the wrong spot now that I finally got it. But I was like all over the place. I was like in here, trying to open it up here. And see, like, you don't get your pinwheel if you're in the wrong spot. You've got to find that place where the pinwheel is. So it's about 2 layers in on that side. 2 layers in on that side, and your fingernail works really well to sort of find that. And you do your twist, and there's your pinwheel.
Oh, cool. Mimi says Eleanor Burns has done this method for years, and she unpicks a little piece. But twisting seems to work for you.
It does, and I will tell you that I actually have a very short seam stitch length. I stitch very short stitch length.
Still able to twist.
And I'm still able, like, when I say short, like 1.8 is what I stitch with.
Really?
Like, yeah, that's what I stitch with. And I can still just do that without having to unpick.
Nice. That's
so
step.
Yeah. So that will flatten that out a little bit.
Bonnie Hunter does it too.
Oh, there you go. I knew there were a lot of...
You're famous like Bonnie Hunter.
I am hardly
and
famous.
And Eleanor Burns.
Hardly. If you guys could have seen me trying to figure this out, it was like, how stupid can I be trying to figure that out? So anyway, that's another way to get your seam a little, that big ball that you sometimes get in the
So
center.
also, if you wanted to make sure your seam was flatter, you can use your clapper.
You can. So you can actually, just once you iron
So
that
if you don't want to
down,
use the precision piecing liquid,
yeah,
you can just do that.
put your clapper on, iron your next one. By that time, you're ready to put your clapper on that, and it's nice and flat.
Okay.
So, just to recap, you have 2 different methods. You need 56 pinwheels in the next 2 weeks. Remember to put your pinwheels going the same way. Do not, so these are going the same way, see? With the
Hold
dark.
them together so they can see.
So you see how those are actually going to fit together? I'm not saying they're fitting together in the pattern. I'm just saying keep that in mind when you're putting them
don't
together.
sew your blocks together for sure.
As opposed to, I probably can't find the one that was
you made a
wrong now.
boo-boo?
Which one was wrong? That one. So see if you were to put those together.
Whoops, I should look. I was watching instead of putting the camera there.
Yeah.
See, that's wrong.
Well, technically. But anyway.
Yeah.
So just remember that. So you need 56 pinwheels. If you're doing the 2 half square triangles to the little squares, you're cutting 112 background squares at 2.5 by 2.5, 112 print squares at 2.5 by 2.5. If you're going to try to make your 4 half square triangles out of one piece, like Deb does, you need 3.5 inch squares if you want to trim and square up your half square triangle. If you don't want to have to do that step, you need 3.25 by 3.25 and take very accurate seam allowances. And you would need 56 print squares and 56 of your background squares.
And those of you doing scrappy pinwheels would look really cute.
They would look really cute. You could totally mix and match, do whatever on that. So that is your homework, and I'm just trying to think if I had any other little things I needed to say.
We told them they got 2 weeks, right?
Yep, you've got 2 weeks. So the next, you're finished.
The finished size.
The finished size, when you're done, should finish up to 3.5 by 3.5. Okay?
Okay.
Because they're 2 inches. That's what you're squaring each individual half square triangle up to 2 inches. And then when you join your 2 inches to your 2 inches, they're 3.5 inch squares finished.
I got to make a lot of pinwheels.
You have to make a lot of
I got
pinwheels.
to be caught up by next week.
So guys, for those of you who don't like doing pinwheels and who have always worried about pinwheels and getting your center straight, this 56 should really
make you professional.
It should. Like you should really, this is a really good learning opportunity to figure out like your accurate seam allowance, getting those points as close as you can. And it would be interesting if you saved your first few and compared them to your last few and see if you have more accuracy. Yeah. But don't sweat the small stuff. Nobody's points are
if they're
ever
not
perfect.
Exactly right. Don't
and when
sweat
they still look beautiful. They really do.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. I think that was it. I don't think there was anything else. So we will see you the morning of October the 20th for the next block. And 56 pinwheels later on October the 20th.
Okay, thank you.
See ya.
Bye-bye, everybody.